There's no rats or mice of any kind in this apartment. And certainly no possums, and this was pretty big. It was the size of a small dog or a large cat. I thought to myself, can this be real? Because, they're not this physical with me very often at all. And I'm thinking, is this real, or am I actually having a waking dream when something touched my gonads? Fingers, small fingers touched my gonads. And if you want to see a man hit a ceiling, you would have seen that at that moment. I leaped out of that bed so fast. And something else leaped out of the bed, shot up, and disappeared in through the ceiling, presumably into the sky. I was left with a big gash on my leg, on my left calf, because as it left, and as I jumped out of the bed, the hand that had been extended, which had these long black little claws on them, gashed my knee, my leg. And so there was no question in my mind what had happened. And what had happened was I had been saying, I'm not scared of you anymore, and if I'm not scared of you, I can communicate that to other people. And it was their way of saying, yeah, you are scared, and you can be frightened of us, and you're deeply frightened of us. Otherwise, you'd be comfortable with us in bed with you. And yeah, that's true. It's probably still true. But then what happened was an amazing period of what I would call a learning process that went on until if you can believe it, last October. And I was writing this book and working with them on the book day by day, and I had an amazing year. The year 2019, by the time I was actually getting the book put together, it was 2019, and it was an amazing time, 2017, 2018, and then especially into the latter few months of 2019, into October of 2019. It was amazing what happened. And the whole book was built on these experiences, because I'm not a theoretician. I write about experiences. If I don't have experiences to write about, I don't have anything to write. Other people can theorize, but I don't like to theorize. I don't like to guess this and guess that. If it happened, I'll tell you about it. If it didn't, I'm not going to tell you anything. So that's how it started. Pretty long answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Compared to the past, I mean, you've had a lot of different encounters, which weren't, if I remember right, not the most friendly type of encounters.
No, absolutely not. People who want this to be all sweetness and light have to face that. It ain't. It's hard. And it's going to stay hard. The Space Brothers are, if these guys are from outer space, then they are tough, they are hard to deal with, they are very demanding, and at the same time that they seem to be extremely impatient, they are very patient and very determined to teach. There's something going on right now involving quantum communications that they are trying hard to work with me on, and I'm having a devil of a time with it. Because during the 3 o'clock sessions, that's the session when I do a lot of learning, it makes sense, and then I can't make sense of it the next day. But fortunately, there are a couple of really good physicists who work on this too with me, and they are, I think, beginning to make some sense of what we're learning. But basically what it is this. The universe, this is just recent. I haven't written a word about it yet, so this is the first time anyone's hearing about it. This universe is filled with rich communication, and it is readily available, but it takes quantum communication to understand it. It's not radio. It is all quantum level communication. And it is possible for us to build devices that both transmit and receive at this level. And there is a lot of it that is not encrypted in any way, that is intended for societies like ours. So it could be that the visitors are about to come into our life, but not by walking into landing on the White House lawn at all, but by showing up in a new kind of SETI program that doesn't listen for radio communications, but listens for communications that are based on quantum entanglement.
Very interesting. Now, how long have you had...
I find it so exciting.
I do, because it makes me wonder. You know, I'm sure you heard of Timothy Collin. He was...
Yes.
Yeah, he's been on my show 5, 6, 7 times. And always wondered why people are being implanted, because a lot of people claim they've been implanted, but they have not got any messages or anything like from anybody. Now, when you were first implanted, I mean, what was it like? What were you thinking? Did you get any communication from that implant?
Well, yeah, it was very straightforward. It happened. I was wide awake when it happened. It didn't involve any aliens. It was two people who did it. Unless they were people, aliens who looked like people. It was a man and a woman. And they came into, what happened was, I was lying in bed reading. It was a May night, about 11 o'clock in 1989. I always have to add, one of my books somewhere, it says 1994, and it's a misprint. It was 89. So, anyway, I was lying in bed reading. Annie had just fallen asleep, and I heard the crunching of gravel in the driveway. And there was no car lights. There were no car lights out there. We had a big gate. The gate was closed. And my immediate reaction was one of fright, because I thought to myself, my God, there's somebody here. And, you know, that can't be good news. Nobody drives up to your house at that hour of the night with their lights off if it's good news. So I had a shotgun in fact, it wasn't just a shotgun, it was a Benelli riot gun. And if anyone who's listening knows about shotguns, that's a powerful weapon. I had a pistol under the bed, and I had a pistol beside the bed. There was an alarm system that alarmed every single opening in the house, basement window, from the basement windows up through everything. It was armed and on and armed. Beside my bed was a bank of switches which I could flip on and totally surround the house with floodlights. In other words, I was well prepared, I thought. Now, what happened was I looked up and I thought to turn on the floodlights. But as I rose up over my book, I saw these two people standing in the hall at the other end of the room. Simultaneously, a male voice from the backyard said very quietly and calmly, "Condition red." I then started, to hell with the lights. I was going for the shotgun. But before I could lean far enough down to reach it, they were beside the bed. I was rendered helpless, lying on my right side. I could no longer reach toward the gun, which had been on my left, which was where the edge of the bed was, and could not see a thing, could hear. The woman's voice was speaking softly. The man, or maybe the woman, I don't know who, was pressing down on my head again and again, pressing it into the pillow. And then the next thing I knew, they were gone. The pressing stopped. I could see again. There was a big flash of light. There were the sound of people crashing through the woods, running wild, like they were running wildly away from the house. I jumped up, grabbed the pistol, ran through the house. I saw the alarm system was still armed, ran through the house looking at every opening. Everything was secure. Went back in the bedroom, sat down on the bedside, and said to myself, "What was that?" I could not figure out, since the alarm hadn't been triggered, was it a dream or a lucid dream, what they call, or what it was. So I probably went downstairs and had a drink or something. I don't know, but in any case, I had what I would describe as a fitful rest of the night. And I may have left the floodlights on for a while. I probably did. Next morning, I get up, I go downstairs, and to get the paper in the morning, you had to drive out to a local drugstore that had newspapers, because they didn't deliver this paper. And I opened the door into the garage, and there's an alarm pad right there beside that door in the garage. And I was stunned to see the garage door was wide open, even though the alarm was still armed. And so I disarmed the alarm, and I called the alarm guy and said, "What is going on here?" And there was all kinds of weird stuff. I got in the car. There was it was full of static electricity. It scared me, and I jumped out of it because, I was mini lightning bolts were hitting me in the face and stuff. I mean, it was just very bizarre. I thought the car was going to explode.
Interesting.
So the guy comes, the alarm man comes over. He tests the switches. He says, "Whitley, look at my Gauss meter." And it was pinned on the max. He said there is a huge magnetic field between these two switches in this door. That's why it didn't trip, because neither switch knows it. They both switches think they're still linked together. He said, but my equipment can't generate a magnetic field this powerful. In fact, I don't even know what can. And not only that, you have to have something to. You can't have a magnetic field like a radio wave or something. It has to be generated like microwaves, and it doesn't go anywhere. It's a field that remains discrete around the magnet. But there was no visible magnet there. It was just the damnedest thing we ever saw. So he took the two switches off and replaced them, and it worked normally after that.
That is very interesting. Now, hey, Whitley, we need to take a 4-minute break, so if you just want to hang on, we'll be back with Whitley Strieber, and we're going to be talking more about what happened to him in his newest book. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Stream, hoping for what's true. I'm trawling for honor in this shallow pool. Borealis starlit crown arches over the Puget Sound. Berenice's hair the horizon to where is my lucky star tonight? The seventh sister of the Pleiades walks in beauty like the night. Oh, that is best, dark and
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.